Hey, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and you're catching me at True Divine 44. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all so very much. So I'm going to do a little talk, I think, about something I discussed with a friend today, a very good friend. And we went on to talk about, and this might seem like a little bit of a disjointed chat, but it's just another writing on the wall for me. Talking about the spiritual community and talking about paganism, talking about labels. And I realized that we keep getting corralled, channeled into these limitations. I try and live my life and live through my consciousness in a limitless way, because I never want to stop learning. I never want to stop changing. And in each existence that I am existing in, simultaneously right now, I feel other layers of me, other projections of me in other realities. Of course I do. And I even feel other layers of me within this realm, whatever this realm is. And I don't like the fact that I would ever stop learning or stop adapting to basically the elements around me, the five, all of the elements, the pentagram. Take paganism. Paganism has become another label, in that a few people I've heard over the time, particularly the last 6 years, of, oh, well, that's not pagan, that's not a pagan way. And it's like, how do you know? Because paganism would say that you're living by nature, and therefore you adapt and change your ways of connectivity, your ways of thinking, your ways of existing, your ways of coping, your ways of actually surviving via the nature and the five, the elements that surround you, and in what form they surround you. Are you in a cold environment? Are you in a hot environment? Which kind of wildlife is around you? Which wildlife isn't around you? What available foods are there? What isn't available? And that would be saying that, it's a broad spectrum thing for existing, for me anyway, in the five and the elements in the pentagram of wherever you are. And I'm realizing, obviously, I've been doing this public speaking, I've been talking to people throughout this, what they're calling an awakening. And for me, I'm like, there's still this projection, and I'm not writing anything off, because I absolutely equate to the numbers, the syncretism, the synchronicity that happens day to day, and how that connects with the layers around us, and the layers of ourselves. But thinking about this awakening, I realized that a lot of people, particularly in this movement, again, it's labeled, it's already boxed in, and we found that recently for something that I went through. It's like these labels can be used against you or for you, and you can be excluded from a movement, a flow of energies, which of course nobody has the right to do. But we've got these people that are very indoctrinated, even those who think they're very awake to this point in time where there's going to be zap, this awakening, and poof, everybody's going to, all the bad is going to be gone and everything's going to be lifted. And yes, these points in time are important, but I described it to my friend of the cosmos, the universe, the layers of existence around us are awake because they are seen, because they are perceived. They're awake in our consciousness because it is perceived. And in the very limited way that we've been indoctrinated to think, which is part of the biggest control over us by these powers that be, that want to keep this power and keep a hold of the control of the many, is that we limit things. And so even this awakening, it has to happen on a certain date, or it's coming, and it's like, but in the grander scheme of things, the cosmos, the layers of existence are always awake, and they're always in a state of awakening, of course, because we are infinite. Possibilities are infinite. I find it hard to see, when I hear a lot of people talking, that they really conceive what that infinite means. that actually it is inconceivable in itself, in that because it is infinite, there is always something else that you are yet to perceive, yet to know, yet to experience. And so therefore it is limitless. And so this limitless infinite nature of existence would say that we are in a constant spiral, in a constant spiral of awakening, because to be fully awake, what are you fully awake to? Are you going to become greater than the creative source, greater than the elements that build up everything around us and this physical body that we dwell in? Are we going to all of a sudden, or a few people going to have all of that? Of course not, because then infinite wouldn't mean infinite. And so in the spiritual community, I've noticed a lot, especially the spiritual community that is sort of amongst this movement, is that there is very fixed ways of thinking, very fixed possibilities, very fixed abilities, and this is limiting. And this to me would be limiting something that should be held sacred, in that limitlessness should be sacred, because limitlessness ties into the infinite nature of existence and experience and perception. And so we have to be really careful about, and this is what organized religion has done as a huge controlling mechanism of the many by the few, in that we have to be really careful about labeling, boxing, limiting, keeping a lid on possibilities, on limitlessness itself. Look at physics. We look at physics and what we are taught, and look at science, what we are taught, look at spirituality and what we are taught. We are taught that there are fixed ways of doing things, and that there's some things that are just impossible and some things that are possible. But to me, that is basically just a glass ceiling of a element equation, an alchemical equation that I haven't come across yet, to experience past those possibilities, past those limitations, to break through that glass ceiling. And I think in spirituality, we have to be really aware of this, really cognizant of putting these glass ceilings in, and this spiritual racism that grows from those glass ceilings, of looking at another and thinking they're doing it wrong, or looking at another and thinking that's impossible. This is what organized religion brought in. It brought in caricatures. It brought in fixed bodies that nobody could ever achieve again, because it was a fractal, if ever, a fractal of a soul having an experience. And even if that fractal is to come back in another experience within this realm, they would still be very different. And so again, you can never quite attain the level of greatness, the level of cleanliness, the level of humbleness that these caricatures play in said Bible. And so again, it's that box, it's that glass ceiling, it's that limitation. And I feel we're coming into a time where actually the so-called powers that be are releasing a lot of knowledge that they've had hidden from us. But because we are so happy to stay in this spiritually racist, spiritually prejudiced box, where we are judging another, or we are closed off to a possibility or to an ability, because we are so fixated on a caricature or a saga that we've told ourselves to understand elements and how elements are working in a certain experience, then, you know, we are coming into the time when that is really being shown. But again, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And so I would really appeal to the people who want to be in connection, in their full potential, in each experience, in each lifetime, in each perception or fractal of self, to experience it to its fullness, to the full capabilities, to add to that that knowledge bank and the wisdom to use that knowledge, to apply that knowledge in the right way, to really focus in through meditation, through your own practices, on becoming, having a plasticity about you, having a flexibility about you, and really holding yourself to account when you feel that glass ceiling encroaching, when you start putting those limitations on or your abilities, on your ability to perceive and understand something. Really, if at your heart, at your core, you feel like a lion, you feel like a lioness, and you want to break chains that have previously kept control of spirituality and knowing and understanding and expansion, then I think this should become a core practice in people's lives, to lift those glass ceilings and keep ourselves accountable to those encroaching glass ceilings that we start to build up for ourselves, or allow others outside of self to build for us. This can then be applied, in my mind, through my spiritual coaching to any aspect of life. When you feel limited as to what kind of relationships are open to you, what kind of career prospects are open to you, what kind of abundance is open to you, what kind of healing, what kind of wholeness, what kind of love, what kind of to be loved is open to you. This is where you can apply this plasticity, and through meditation, visualizing when you feel that fixed mentality encroaching, visualizing yourself being a meld and a mold and a movement of all of your colors into your auric field to really bring back flow. And so I realize I can see this fixed mentality that they've been pummeling us with through the COVID period, and now they're pummeling us with this wartime period. Everything is about keeping us fixed, keeping us in a side, keeping us in a box, keeping us under control. Because when we are focused on the four walls of a box and we are not expanding up past that box, we are easier to compartmentalize, easier to control, persuade, manipulate. And so it really does start from within. And so for those people that really feel that lion heart, really feel that draw and that judgment card of the tarot, that need to break chains of limitation in this existence, to leave this realm as a more expansive and more limitless space for generations thereafter, then it really does start from within. And it really does, this fixed mentality, this fixation, this rigidness has to be dissolved. And through different practices, you can do that. You'll find the right one for you. You can get in touch with me for some sessions or somebody else, but finding a way to really melt and be in flow and be in just appreciation of being able to perceive and conceive what you are perceiving in this existence, knowing that that is enough, knowing that you attaining these goals of expansion in your individual life all adds like a pebble in the stream causing a ripple to this awakening that for us, we've been already fixated on, yeah, it's going to happen this year, it's going to happen this year. It's not going to be just poof and done. It's a rolling spiral, it's a flow, it's an endless, limitless, infinite experience and perception of that experience. It is all of the emotions that go within all of those experiences. It is an endless birth. And so this realm, nature, the universe, the cosmos around us is always birthing itself, because the energies are always birthing themselves into a different projection. They're being applied in different ways from each and every one of us, from each animal that is here, from each tree, from each mushroom. And so to be fixated on this this movement, this awakening, this religion, this side, this war, this COVID, it absolutely takes away. But you know, from this endless awakening, from this endless movement and spiral and flow of experiences. I hope that makes sense. This is just off the cuff regarding a conversation I had with a very, very good friend, my Helen, and thinking about this more, thinking I needed to speak on this and touch on this for those that might be just creeping slowly into a box that either they've made for themselves or that somebody else or something else is making for them, to keep them in a space of limitation, in a space of feeling, ironically, feeling free, feeling like you're awake, but actually being more chained than ever because of the fixation I'm noticing in said movement, particularly here in the UK, is that a lot of people have been psyops within this movement of awakening, without even knowing it, without even realizing it. And a lot of it is encroaching through organized religious rhetoric again. So that history loop repeating again. So it's the humans that keep, whatever human is, but they keep repeating these stories, these loops that have been played over and over again by these powers that be, while the cosmos, the universe, all of the elements, all of the fractals continue emerging into their next cycle. So it's for us to catch up and be in flow, allow ourselves to go down the drain, so to speak, and enjoy the ride. And yes, get through some tough times. Yes, change things for the better. Yes, fight for that, but never being fixed. Always being in a jelly-like state, or of being able to just experience and flow with what comes next. Experience, flow with what comes next. If many of us could actually do this from within, I know that actually, ironically, it would lift the frequencies here in this realm to the point of like sage in a house. You're not expelling spirits or other entities from your house by you know, them being frightened of the sage. But no, what it does do when we burn certain plants, certain in certain ways, as in sage, what it does is it does change the frequency of a room. It does lift that frequency of a room. Also with pine needles, when you burn them, just like sage, it has an antimicrobial effect. It has an antibacterial effect. So even from those entities of the microbe level that might not do your body so well, or the bacterial level that might not do your body so well, you are just pushing out a frequency, a smoke that carries that frequency. You're filling the room with that. So it's a bit like blowing up a balloon in the room and pushing out anything that would be unwelcoming to your well-being, and just making it uncomfortable for it to live in, as burning sage, as burning pine needles does with bacteria and microbes. So it isn't about but it isn't about, you know, so what was I saying there? So we're lifting the frequency. So actually, just like sage in the room would be sage in this realm, would be sage in these systems that we've been living under, and making them uncomfortable, because all of a sudden in this plastic state, in this flexible state, without this fixation, we actually aren't controllable. We actually aren't able to be manipulated so easily, or distracted so easily, or divided so easily. So again, it's a little bit like we're saging ourselves. And the more we do that outside into our auric field, the more we push away the things that wouldn't be great for our well-being. And so in that way, also, we are creating a change, but it has to come from within to the without. And so this is just for whoever needed to hear this, that might be feeling judged by others right now, also judged by others that don't even realize they're in a fixed state, they're in a fixed mentality. And alongside that often comes judgment of others that are outside the parameters of that mentality. And that is happening a lot in this movement. And so again, it's taking ownership of yourself, not allowing others to judge you, and hopefully this chat giving you the strength to do that, to lift yourself out of the judgment of others, and to be able to be authentic and organic to yourself without fear. Because of course it's great that you're different, it's great that your practices are different, it's great that we can come together in that difference and indifference with certain practices that we do that we know work. They have an alchemical process, they have an equation to them. Certain breath work, great for getting an out-of-body experience and dancing in the auric field, great for healing. So we know things do work, and it's not to write those off, but it is not to become so fixed on them that we write off other potentials, other ways also. So for whoever needed to hear this, I hope it resonates with you right here, gives you the strength and the courage and the love to be your authentic, organic, beautiful self. If you're causing no harm to others, if you are able to love self first and everything thereafter, then you are doing no harm. You can only do good, and you are adding to this huge pool of consciousness that is full of experience, full of differentiation, full of difference, full of individualism, full of the difference. And so you are adding to that, and you are valuable to that, and we should all value each other for doing that, and lift that veil each time we think we know it all. Learn something else. There's always something else to understand, understand, experience, and being. And so with that, I say much love, balance, and wholeness. If you want a personal reading with me, check me out at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. Please go over to my Facebook page. I'm still having to exist on there, readings come in there, but on my Facebook page, True Divine 44, you can send me a friend request. I'm a friendly kind of person on my Facebook. Also check out Divinity on Facebook. It's got its own page there. You can order through there by dropping me a message through there. Any spiritual coaching sessions, any kind of energy sessions, doing great group sessions. It's great for a house party type vibe, with healing, with laughs, and with an energetic cleanse and some teaching in there. So you can get in touch with me for all of that and more. You know, I've got a I don't like to limit myself. So, you know, I'm always doing different things. I'm getting better right now. I've done the setup. I've got a lot of the things up that I want to get up. I'm going to maybe do a painting here and let you guys see it as it comes along, thinking something about the divine feminine, divine masculine, and infinity itself. I'm trying to conceive something that would encapsulate that, so you can maybe watch it as it comes along, but getting things done, getting things settled. I appreciate you all being so very patient. Love, love, love to you all. Mwah. That is just the boys in the background, by the way. They're not killing each other. They are actually playing. They're experiencing each other. So excuse that noise. Much love.